Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Hormel Foods Corporation and this is Today in History for the 5th of July. Let's get started. We begin with the year 1295. On this day, Scotland and France form an alliance, the beginnings of the Auld Alliance. So Auld is spelled A-U-L-D, against England. So that alliance was against England. Okay, so we move on to the year 1687. We encounter this man, Isaac Newton. His great work, Principia, was published by the Royal Society in England, outlining his laws of motion and universal gravitation. In 1750, there was a slave revolt in Curacao. And you can see the group of islands down there, very tiny. Caribbean Sea, the North Atlantic Ocean, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic. So gives you an idea of where Curacao is, in case you didn't know. That's the Gulf of Mexico, that's Mexico. That's Honduras, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Keep an eye on Venezuela, because I'll come back to that in a bit. Okay, so on this day there was a slave revolt in Curacao. I'm going to show you pictures of Curacao today. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's the location of Curacao. Okay, so let's go back to the original picture. Venezuela. On this day in 1811, they declared their independence from Spain. So on this day, 1811, Spanish colony Venezuela declared their independence. In 1841, on this day, Thomas Cook opens its first travel agency. Now let's go back to that picture. I'm sure Thomas Cook would have taken holidaymakers to Curacao not too long ago. Absolutely beautiful. So Thomas Cook on this day in 1841 opens his first travel agency. 1852 on this day, Abolitionist Frederick Douglass, who I mentioned in one of my previous videos, who eventually became Prime Minister of Haiti. He delivers his, in quotes, "What to the slave is the 4th of July" speech to the Ladies Anti-Slavery Society in Rochester, New York. He condemns the celebration of July 4th as a hypocritical sham. Obviously, the slaves were not really free, even in places where their freedom had been declared or had been written into law. He didn't see that as affecting the slaves positively. He didn't see that included the slaves. Okay, so he made his speech on this day. There is a video on him a few videos ago. You can check that as well. On this day, 1937, Spam, the luncheon meat, is first introduced into the market by the Hormel Foods Corporation. It's a tinned meat product, but a tinned, it's a thin, not TH but TI, so tinned meat product made mainly from ham, as pictured here. So we move on to the year 1973. General Juvénal Habyarimana becomes president of Rwanda in a military coup. He was born on the 8th of March 1937. He was the second president of Rwanda from 1973 until 1994. He was nicknamed Kinani. So he's the guy to the left of your screen. He was nicknamed Kinani, a Kinyarwanda word meaning invincible. Habyarimana was a dictator, and electoral fraud was suspected for his unopposed re-elections in 1978, 1983, and 1988. On the 6th of April 1994, he was killed when his aircraft also carrying the president of neighboring Burundi, which is the guy to the right, was shot down near Kigali, which is the capital of Rwanda. His assassination ignited ethnic tensions between his Hutu tribe and the Tutsi tribe in the region and helped spark the Rwandan genocide. So obviously that was the airplane that they were traveling in, which was shot down by a missile. Okay, so I did also talk about Rwanda a few videos ago, so go check it out. The genocide led to the death, or the genocide, I wouldn't say led to the death, but nearly 1 million people died in the genocide. So you can see how seemingly little things can spark a disaster on such a massive scale. We saw the same in World War I, the killing of Franz Ferdinand and his wife, how that led to World War I. Same thing here, or similar thing here. So I think it's a lesson from history that usually when leaders are killed, when leaders are assassinated, that can trigger a big war, and potentially millions of lives can be lost from that. So, lessons from history, guys. Right, let's move on to the year 1975. On this day, tennis great Arthur Ashe became the first African American to win the singles cup at Wimbledon on July 5th, 1975, beating defending champion, you might say, Jimmy Connors. Ashe was born in Richmond, Virginia on the 10th of July, 1943, and died on February 6, 1993 at the age of 49. She would have turned 50 that year. He died in New York City. He achieved the ranking of #1 in the world among his peers, had a singles career record of 818 wins, 260 losses, and 51 titles, which included wins in the Australian Open. Essentially, this guy won 80% of his tournaments. So 260 losses, 51 titles, which included wins in the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. Ashe is believed to have become HIV positive from a blood transfusion during heart surgery. Ashe worked to educate people about AIDS after publicly disclosing his illness. He died of AIDS-related pneumonia in New York. 1989, on this day, South African President P.W. Botha visits ANC leader Nelson Mandela. Baseball record on this day was set in 1989. Father and son duo. So here's Barry Bonds. Here's the homers in Pittsburgh's 6-4 loss versus San Francisco Giants. He joined his father Bobby Bonds as MLB father-son HR record holders. So father and son record holders, Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds. On this day, Barry Bonds set a record, baseball record, in 1989. 1994. On this day, Amazon.com is founded by Jeff Bezos in Bellevue, Washington. I don't need to introduce Amazon to you. It's now pretty much everywhere. Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the world, as you may all well know. Let's go now to the year 2003. SARS, S-A-R-S, is declared contained by the World Health Organization after affecting 26 countries and resulting in 774 deaths. So SARS has nothing on Corona. I mean, the difference between SARS and Corona is like night and day. So we all need to be careful during this lockdown, even though lockdown is easing off. I'm not sure we've seen the last of the coronavirus. We all need to be careful, protect ourselves, use some protective masks or whatever needs to be done. Some people are of the opinion that it's a scam, others not so much, but we just have to try and abide by the law of the country that we are resident in so we don't get fined or jailed. Okay, let's go on finally, last but not least, to the year 2017. On this day, this young handsome dude, Alexandre Lacazette, breaks club transfer record. He's an Arsenal player, so the payment for his transfer was 53 million euros. He was formerly of Lyon in France. So that's Alexandre Lacazette, who breaks club transfer record on this day. The amount was 53 million euros. On that note, we end today's Today in History for the 5th of July. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow on the 6th of July for Today in History. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and also subscribe by clicking the notification bell. Thank you. Stay safe, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.